There's nothing like Minnesota high school football. Football nights are special. It's about the players, the fans, let's go! The communities. Prep Preview is here to set the stage each week. Dig into the key rivalries, the unique stories, the players to watch, and break down what it all means. The CARE TV Prep Preview on YouTube starts now. Thanks for joining us. Week 4 of the Minnesota high school football season. The matchups this week are fabulous across the board. Yes. Welcome to Prep Preview on YouTube. I'm Randy Shaver along with Craig Norkus, and we are covering Minnesota high school football for games played on September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Our spotlight game this Friday is a monster in 6A. Number 1, Eden Prairie, hosting number 3, Shakopee. We will get to that in just a minute.
You didn't say anything about my collared shirt.
Very nice. It matches your eyes.
For the second week in a row, I have a collared shirt because you get hot under the collar when I don't wear a collared shirt.
I know.
When you're hot under the collar, I'm cooler than you.
Okay.
Anyway, before we get to the spotlight, we're going to talk some nostalgia. You have something nostalgic
later in the show.
I have something nostalgic now. And we're going to do it with a romper. You remember Romper Room?
I do.
Show?
I watched it when I was a little kid.
Yeah, children's show. It started in 1953.
What does that got to do with
and
what
was
we're
franchised and syndicated all the way to 1994.
Oh my gosh.
We're going to get a look at the show Romper Room because
why?
Well, because you haven't been seen in a while, and I want to make sure you've been seen.
Well, I'm on TV.
First of all, this is terrifying.
People see me all the time.
The show open is terrifying. Let's get by this. Who would put a clown? All right, get by this. Anyway, the show had a magic mirror in it.
Oh yes.
The magic mirror. You remember at the end of the show, they would encourage children to mail in their names to the show, which would be read on the air. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, LeBaron. Hi, Ralph. Hi, Dana. They would say through the mirror, and the children would feel like they were being talked to live on the show. It was the coolest concept. Back in 1953, I mean, that was the thing. But anyway, just like Hot Highlights, I had our viewers vote who they wanted to see in the magic mirror and whose name would be read.
Sure.
And guess whose name came up?
I have no idea.
Well,
isn't
you're
that
now
something?
Seen in the Romper Room magic mirror. Now you have confidence moving forward in the show. That's my bit of nostalgia.
Frightening as the clown at the beginning of the program.
Can we stop wasting time and get to the spotlight game?
Exactly. My thoughts exactly.
Let's go.
Shakopee's one and only win versus EP in their history happened last year in the regular season. Eden Prairie then eliminated the Sabres in the playoffs. There's mutual respect between these two programs, but both 3-0 teams really want a win on Friday night. I talked with head coaches Mike Grant and Ray Benton about the spotlight matchup.
We're 3-0, so you start with that. I think every team at this point would say there's certain things we're doing really well, and there's other things we got to improve on.
There's a lot of unknowns because we got a lot of juniors, a lot of guys that have not played Friday night. So being 3-0 right now, I'm really impressed how our kids have come together.
I don't think they're quite as explosive as they were with, I don't remember names, but their quarterback was a 3-year starter last year. He was really good.
That's what a lot of people think. We did have some explosive athletes in Dom Jackson, and you had the big cowbell and a Jaden Hillerud. And so, like I said, a lot of people don't know who these guys are, but they're one. They're a team, and there's a lot more speed out there than people think. And when they get out on the field, they kind of see it, and they see the athletes.
What I will say, they're very, very well coached in both offense and defense. That they do sound so stupid, but they do what they do, and they're very good at what they do.
I mean, we've only beat them one time, EP one time, but we've had some battles that have come down to the end before, and they're just really physical, grind-out type games. I think we know each other very well. The kids always, both sides, we're all up for it.
How would you describe this game? Is it a measuring stick for you?
EP right now is, they're ranked one for a reason. They're big up front. They can run the ball. Defensively, they're very physical. They're fast. They got everything you need. So it is a measuring stick, and it's week 4, and you need those games to kind of see where you're going to play yourself. So we're going to be looking forward to it, and we'll be ready to go.
We've got a lot of good players on this team. They're good football players. We'll say there's a 3-year starter at center. He's been playing nose guard for us. We've had some injuries and things in the D-line. So he's had to play defense and play both ways and has done a great job. He's just as good as you'll ever have. You'll never have a better high school center. I don't care, anytime.
You like playing against Ray Betton?
I like watching him during the game because he's so fired up over there and excitable,
Mike's always watching me all the time, and he just sits back there on that bench and just watches us warm up, and and just he gets a lot of stuff going through his head, man.
People can beat us. There's no question. Everybody's beatable, but someone's going to have to play great to beat us, and that's kind of all you can hope for.
I know it's going to be their homecoming there, and now it's the spotlight game of the week, so it's just going to be a raucous, crazy environment out there, and our kids are going to be really looking forward to it, and our fans as well. Sabre Nation will be there, and we're going to get after it.
We'll see how it goes. We'll shake hands before and after, I know, and we'll be friends before and after.
Well, that sets the stage for Friday night. Those two coaches really do have great admiration for each other. Spotlight game, number 3, Shakopee, number 1, Eden Prairie. We'll have full highlights on KARE on the Prep Sports Extra at 10:15. Then, of course, at 11 o'clock on cable, YouTube, KARE11.com, and KARE 11 Plus on our 11 o'clock version of the Prep Sports Extra.
And I love that, if we come back out to us, that Coach Betton, he's talked about Grant watching him before, and he says he's got this poker face, and he sits there and watches me. I love that. And they're going to be friends before and after, I guess not during. But, you have to, but look, Shakopee is on the map, right? They've been getting better and better each year. Coach Betton has them getting better and better. In fact, we can call him Coach Ray Better and Better Betton.
Right.
And this is their opportunity, right? They're up to number 3. They're playing number 1. This is where they can make a statement.
Absolutely.
Right now, I'm excited to go to this game.
Speaking of making a statement, last week in the Battle of Lakeville, South made a statement by beating North. You were at the Spotlight game between South and North. Your thoughts?
Well, this one lived up to its billing. What a Spotlight game should be. It was incredible. But let's start. We've talked about Coach Ben Burke. Let's talk about the coach on the other side, Brian Vossen, because he brings passionensity. That's just a combination of unmatched passion and intensity. But he balances it with a great sense of humor. What a guy. Let's get to the game. Riley Grossman, play action for North. A 22-yard touchdown pass to Kelvin Schmedel. 7-0 North. We got the game tied 7-7, under 2 minutes and a half. Grossman, a pass to the end zone. Watch this pick. Great-handed, one-handed grab by Calvin Oxendale. Look at that. One hand secures it with one shoulder. Half is 7-7 tie. Now, I want to analyze this play. This is one of the more crazy plays I've seen. It's a botch snap near the goal line. You can see the ball come out.
Yep.
North drops it. Look at the ball. There's the
there
ball
it
right
is,
there.
right there.
We're going to pull back out and see the pile, and there's going to be like a scrum
and
for it, right?
And the ball gets loose.
Lakeville South is pointing, hey, we got the ball, we got the ball. But
no,
wait,
they don't.
Look at the left-hand part of the screen, and we're going to arrow this. There's the ball. Reese Hunt secretly takes the ball and waltzes into the end zone. Everybody still thinks it's in the pile.
Right.
I've never seen such a thing. Well, anyways, North goes.
Touchdown.
Yep, touchdown. North goes up 14-7. We go to the fourth quarter. South. Jonah Shine, a speedy 64-yard touchdown run. This is going to tie the game at 14. What a game. We got 2:25 left now, and South is down 21-14. 4th and 13 here to keep their hopes alive. They connect on 4th and 13.
Wow.
Gavin Dean finds Bo Bachman first down. And then Bachman again. It's going to be a 14-yard touchdown run with a minute left. The game is tied at 21. Yeah. Now, oh no, minute left, and North fumbles their ensuing possession. South takes over at the 12-yard line. Oh my goodness.
That's a heartbreaker.
And Jack Kimmel comes in to kick this 31-yard field goal. South wins a thriller 24-21, but oh my goodness, wow.
So South will remain at number 2 in the 6A rankings. North will fall a little bit. And that game helped reshape Class 6A. As we take a look at the latest Associated Press rankings released on Monday, Eden Prairie is the unanimous number 1 team in 6A, all 12 first place votes. Shakopee moves into 3rd. Anoka's in the top 5. We're going to talk about them in a minute.
I'm glad North only fell 3 spots because they still deserve to be up there after that devastating loss. Forest Lake continues to be relevant with their 24-8 win over Mounds View. We're going to hear more about them later. And yeah, the only way these rankings could be any cooler is if we had a 1-8 team from last year be in the top 5. Let's see.
We do. The Anoka Tornadoes will host defending 6A champ Maple Grove Friday night. The Crimson are number 8 in the poll. The surprising Tornadoes are 3-0 after beating Blaine last week. They're led by a junior quarterback, Peyton Podany. He is 2nd in the state in passing through 3 games with 819 yards, 59 of 97 and 8 touchdowns and no interceptions so far this year. At 6'3", 190, Podany has a quick release and a strong arm, and he's got talent around him too. And I talked with Peyton about his season so far.
I love football a lot. I mean, it's just great. Obviously, you're with your teammates, you're with your guys through the whole school year from 6 a.m. workouts to 6 p.m. when practice ends. So definitely just family feel, just getting to know your guys, your teammates better. And yeah, I love it a lot. Last year, we were 1-8, rough year. We had a lot of younger guys. I think about 90% of our roster was sophomores. So coming back with kind of the same core, same guys. Obviously, Coach Bo is a great offensive coordinator, great head coach. Yeah, just coming back a year stronger, a year more together, and I feel like that's kind of the biggest reason for our success so far. Going from a sophomore to a junior is a big jump. You're a year older. Go! Over the summer, I'd say I could throw maybe 10, 15 yards further than last year. Obviously, being in the weight room all summer, working on those kind of things, arm drills, all that.
How would you describe yourself? What makes you good as a quarterback, Peyton?
More than other quarterbacks in the state, I do a good job of staying composed, being relaxed back there in the pocket, seeing the field well. Yeah, and like I said before, obviously I have a great receiving core around me. Makes it a lot easier.
Here's the top 5 passers by yardage in Minnesota as of September 18th. Podany is in 2nd place behind the QB from Springfield. Ginsky of Owatonna is 3rd. George Bajelis out of Woodbury is in 4th at 703 yards. And Chase Christensen out of Fillmore Central is in 5th.
I think it's important to point out that Peyton is 2nd in the state in passing yards after losing his all-metro receiver last year. Eli Paulson had 96 catches, 1,225 yards last year in that offense. So he's doing that without him. I also love his confidence, talking about how more than any other quarterbacks in the state, I know how to stay composed and relaxed in the pocket. He also did a good job staying relaxed and composed on our show.
He did a great job, Peyton. And it's not the first time I've covered a Podany playing football for Anoka. In fact, let me take you back to 1995. Watch for number 46 in the video. Number 46 is Corey Podany. That's Peyton's dad. Corey was a bruising fullback who ran behind the likes of the great Dave Butler at Anoka. Anoka was the defending state champion in 1995, Corey's junior year, and Corey was the guy to stop in that I formation. Here's the video I love. It's Anoka's Goodrich Stadium, long before turf, natural grass, in the rain, just a flat-out mud pit. That's old-time prep football with the big old shoulder pads and the natural grass. And I also stumbled upon a video clip of number 1 rated Anoka preparing to play Stillwater in 1995. This is pregame and the great Anoka coach, Dwayne Johnson. Watch.
Wow.
We need to make sure that we're underneath the people, because the low man will win. Keep your feet moving.
Even though you got deep third, you're still going to key this tight end because they'll run it, they'll drop back, and they'll hit this straight. I'm at the corner.
It's just Anoka football, I guess. Everybody gets pumped up before every game. Just got to go out there and play our football, I guess. Well, it's going to be a defensive game, real defensive game.
And it is going to be a big ball game. It's fun to play George Stoll's Stillwater Ponies. They're always a great team. They always play hard. They play it by the rules, and you know, it's not one of those. It's one of those games when it's all over. It's easy to shake their hand and congratulate them, or they congratulate us. So it's a fun game.
That was 28 years ago. Stillwater won that game, snapping Anoka's 18-game winning streak, and the Ponies did go on to win the 1995 state championship behind the great George Thole. By the way, Dwayne Johnson, who you saw at the end of that video, passed away in 2019 at the age of 76. Thanks to Corey and Peyton Podani in leading us down the Anoka rabbit hole. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. And that was your version of nostalgia, which really put my romper room up against a wall. That was pretty good. In fact, that mud video with the big shoulder pads, that gave me horripilation. You know what horripilation is?
I have no idea.
The definition of horripilation is the erection of hairs on your skin from intense excitement.
Okay.
Horripilation.
I've never heard of it. You keep making up words.
That's a real word.
Every
look it up.
week you make up a new word.
No, look it up.
Okay. Big salute this week to Chanhasen's Maxwell Woods, who had the game of a lifetime at Rochester Century on Friday night. 19 touches, 402 yards and 7 touchdowns, 243 yards on the ground and 6 touchdowns, 2 catches and 2 kick returns for 142 yards and an 87-yard return for a TD. He's making a strong case for Metro Player of the Year.
Well, a strong case. I would say that's a sturdy, substantial, compelling, convincing case.
Right.
And you know, the great thing about Maxwell, when we interviewed him over the summer, and you said, where do you want to envision yourself 10 years from now? And
right.
he said, I like to live in the present.
Yeah.
Well, when you get 400 yards a game, I think you can live in the present.
I think Rochester Century can swear he was living in the present last Friday night. All right, well, last week, the state's top 2 football recruits faced off on the same field at Irondale. Wyatt Gilmore, defensive end from Rogers, who's headed to Oklahoma, and Emerson Mandel of Irondale, verbally committed to Wisconsin. But
the players who really caught my attention,
because you were there.
I was there, were Rogers running back Calvin Isle and Rogers guard Wyatt Bell.
Oh boy.
So this is the first play from scrimmage for Rogers. Calvin Isle, look at the block by Bell there. He's number 59, nice inside block, springs Isle. He's gonna go 65 yards. The first touch of the game, and boom, they're up 7-0, just like that. Well, Irondale's going to come back and tie the game at 7. Guess what happens on the second carry of the game? This is Isle again. Another great block by Bell as he springs Isle up the middle. This one goes for 60 yards. So his first 2 carries of the game totaled 125 yards. Irondale did lead at the half, 21-17, but the third quarter is where Rogers took control of the game, and they did so at the line of scrimmage. There's Isle goes for 52. They're up 24-17. I want to concentrate more on the blocks by Bell. I mean, he just manhandled people all game. There's a pancake, and he's still laying on him 5 seconds after the play is over.
How do you like breakfast?
Yes, and now he's going to stand up a guy and literally throw him to the ground like a used toothpick. The next one, he literally is going to block. There's the used toothpick again. We got to see that again. The next one, he literally is going to block 2 guys, pushes that out of the way, and then walls off. Look at that. This is intense. He was dominant all night. Rogers won 52-17. Gilmore and Mandel were in this game, but Wyatt, the disposal Bell, I'm going to call him, he literally would just grind people up and dispose of them. I want to show you one last block. The last one is when he throws a guy down, and then wait for it. Here's the play. He's going to rip the guy down. Wait for it. Wait for it. What happened? It's a touchdown. We win. So, wow, what a performance by Bell and Isle in that game.
And he, by the way, is going to North Dakota to play college football. Rogers will host Spring Lake Park this week. Irondale will play at Monticello. It's rivalry week for Forest Lake and White Bear Lake. They meet again on Friday night for the first time since 2016. That game was significant. Forest Lake won 20-14, snapping a 41-game losing streak. 41 games spanning 4+ seasons. So much has changed at Forest Lake. This program coming off a 7-3 season last year, which included a win in the playoffs, a turnaround season. This year, Forest Lake has a 2-1 record with wins over Mounds View and East Ridge.
Their only loss was by 1 point to Prior Lake, and that was a game where they went for 2 to take the lead and were stopped.
That was opening night, by the way. Football at Forest Lake, no longer an afterthought. New coaches, new facilities, new attitude. And because they're back on their feet, they are now playing a tougher 6A schedule, which includes longtime rival White Bear Lake. I talked with Ranger head coach Brad Beeskow about getting the Bears back on the schedule. Tell me about playing White Bear Lake again. What does this mean to have that game?
Yep. Yeah, it means everything to us. I think a big thing in high school football that's so fun is the rivalries. The more rivalries that you can have, the better. To me, the White Bear Lake game is one that's circled on our calendar. I'm hopeful that it's circled on theirs too. We play for a big paddle. It's kind of a trophy game for us. They haven't played since I think either 2016 or 2017. Really, really fun game. We both have kids that live in kind of that area that go either to White Bear or to us. It's kind of that boundary district. And so for us to get them back on the schedule is huge. I know it's been a couple years. Our kids are fired up about it. I'm hopeful their kids are too, and we can really create a fun, just great high school football rivalry game. And I have tremendous respect for their staff too. Ryan Bartlett over there does a great job, and I'm really excited to play him.
Well, it's going to be one of the games that we're going to be watching on Friday night, White Bear Lake at Forest Lake. Other games that we're keying in on, Prior Lake, Minnetonka. That Armstrong-Cretan game should be a lot of fun. First time they've ever met. That'll be a 7:30 start at University of St. Thomas. And, of course, a big game between Elk River and Andover on Friday.
Well, I'm not saying anything about Elk River or Andover.
You're not going to talk about Andover, are you, after the Mankato West debacle? All right, when we sat down with Elk River head coach Steve Hamilton before the season, he was open and honest about a lot of things, including how sports helped him get through very tough times as a young man. Steve shared that with us, and it's a powerful reminder of how sports is more than just a game. Listen.
You know, I grew up with alcoholism and abuse, and so sports was my time when things were sane, and so I played everything, you know, and I didn't want to go home, and so unfortunately I know that there's people going through that.
Sure.
And being able to be that place where things make sense and safe and they'll be taken care of and loved, and I think that's important.
Does that background that you just mentioned make you more empathetic to?
Well, I think so. I always try to remind
as a coach?
Coaches and teachers, when they complain of this, I tell my students, listen, I know this isn't the most important thing in your life, and I know there's going to be things that happen in life that are way more important.
Right.
And you have to just be open and honest. I think one of the things that helped me is I always told anybody new, hey, this is my situation at home. I didn't try to hide that.
Yeah.
And feel free to talk to people who have been through it. But we all have those days. I always tell them, life's going to slap you in the face, and we got to figure out how to move on. And whether that's at practice, put on, or whether it's taking a test, we've got to focus on what we have to do, and then we'll take care of the other stuff when we can.
Pretty interesting discussion. I appreciate Steve opening up and talking about that, because it is a good reminder that they are more than football players. They are kids, and there are a lot of things that are going on in life, right?
That right there is a big reason why we do this show.
Yeah.
I know we like to have a little bit of fun from time to time, but that right there sums it up, what Steve Hamilton said, because sports is so much more than just a game. And it's going to be about the life lessons you learn. It's going to be about learning how when life slaps you in the face or when you get knocked down on the football field, how do you get up? How do you respond?
Right.
That's what matters, is what the life lessons that are taught.
And sometimes in kids' lives, coaches and teachers become the most important mentors, right?
Absolutely.
And so I think that's part of the message I think that Steve was trying to get across as well. All right, let's finish up the football rankings put out by the Associated Press. We're going to go to 5A. 10 first place votes this week for Mankato West. They're number 1. Chand receives 1 first place vote, as does Brainerd. Andover's back in the top 10, and St. Thomas Academy is back in the top 10.
I know Mankato West probably thinks the one Chand first place vote was from me, but I want to assure them I do not vote in this specific poll. We saw the earlier locomotive that Rogers is, and Andover does bounce back from that Mankato West loss back into the top 10 after a 42-21 win over Cambridge Isanti.
Class 4A poll, Hutch is the unanimous number 1 after beating Totino Grace and Fridley last week. The Hutch-Becker matchup is on the horizon September 29th. Also, Orono will play Mound West Tonka that same night, and that's a matchup of top 6 teams.
Hutch holds Totino to just 3 points. They do look tough.
Dominating.
And it is setting up a titanic matchup between them and Becker, a matchup I was at last year, and it was legendary. I expect something similar to the legendary status this year.
How about 3A? Dassel Cokato still number 1, and they should be. They beat New London Spicer last week. Voters moved Stewartville past Esco, believe it or not, into the number 2 spot. Of course, Esco has just been bombing everybody, but that's a look at Class 3A.
That's an interesting move that Stewartville crept past Esco.
And Stewartville's a good team.
They are, but all Esco has done is romp. They romped with another 66-8 win over Mora. That's all they do is romp. So we'll see how that plays out.
Class 2A, Barnesville's the number 1 team. Caledonia's number 2. Chatfield is 3. St. Agnes is still there. They got 1 first place vote. They're playing at Holy Family on Friday night. St. Agnes at 3-0.
That's the same thing as last week, with St. Agnes receiving 1 first place vote but remaining 7th. And last week, I speculated that one of the moms might be voting. This gives more verification that might be true.
Well, somebody's voting for them, and good for them. Good luck. Class 1A, Minneota is the number 1 team. 9 first place votes this week. They beat number 2 rated Bold last week, dropping Bold down to number 8. Springfield is number 2, and Fillmore Central is number 3.
Yeah, Minneota won the Bold matchup 42-28, which absolutely cements them in the top spot for now.
And the 9-man rankings, Mountain Iron Buell, not much change in the 9-man. They're number 1. 9 first place votes. Spring Grove and Fertile Beltrami will round out the top 3.
Okay, how about we keep true to the Romper Room Magic Mirror and make the next segment a little bit more about you?
We can't, though, because we're making this more about someone else.
Okay.
Is that okay?
You can mention yourself in this.
I can.
As an old guy.
Thank you. I've been covering high school sports.
Yes.
I see where you're going now. I'm going to backhand you. I've been covering high school sports in Minnesota for 40 years, and there's a lot of us old guys, a few of us old guys that are left who've covered preps and love it. John Millay is one of those guys.
John worked at the Star Tribune for 20 years before transitioning to his current job at the Minnesota State High School League.
You may have heard of John's Journal, where John drives across the state of Minnesota documenting all the great high school stories in all sports for the High School League. I talked to John and had him stop here at CARE. What is it about high school sports that you love the most?
You know, it's the community of it, because everybody went to high school. Not everybody was an athlete, but everybody went to high school. Right. That's the thing. Everybody knows what this world is like. How many things does everybody in the country share? That's one. I don't know if there's many others, you know.
How would you describe John's Journal? What did John's Journal turn into?
Yeah, it's the place where I can tell these stories of high school sports and activities in Minnesota. I'm not writing game stories. Yep. It's not X's and O's. Right. It's mostly the people involved, the scene. Try to take people with me when I go to a place and write a story, whether I'm going 10 miles away or 300 miles away. What's it like in Hancock, Minnesota on Friday night, or what's it like in Duluth at a volleyball tournament, or whatever it is. Just take people with me and tell the story of these great events in Minnesota high school. And I'm in a unique position in this job with the high school league. When I send an email to an athletic director and a coach, hey, I'm going to come to your game, or I'm going to be at this volleyball match, or I'm coming to the track meet, they're excited because the guy from the high school league's coming. And I'm excited. I'm more excited than they are. I think they're excited when I come, but I'm much more excited than they are. Yeah, it's just a cool thing. And sometimes I go to a practice or a game or whatever it is, and I don't have a story in mind. But I like to tell young journalists, showing up is more than half the battle. I've stumbled into so many stories just by being there and seeing something, maybe jotting down a note, and later it becomes a great story.
So how many miles have you put on the car that you drive for John's Journal?
Not many yet, but it's going to be. I mean, it's tens of thousands of miles every year, and it's so much fun. Like I said, I've already been to the Iron Range. Now's the time we start gassing that baby up and go and have more fun than anybody should ever be allowed to have.
Have you gone through just one car in the 14 years you've been doing this?
I'm on number 4.
You're on number 4.
This is the 4th one, yeah. Toyota sponsors John's Journal. They give us a car. Each one is a 3-year lease at no cost to the high school league. Toyota's great.
That's awesome.
So I picked up the 4th one last December. So I'm on 4 of them. So I don't sneak it. If I'm coming into a small town, they see me coming.
Yeah. For people that don't know John's Journal, your car is decorated.
It's got a lot of graphics on it. It's got my cartoon face on the side. It's got high school league logos. It's got Toyota logos. And one thing I love to do when I'm visiting a team or a school, put a sticker on my car. If you've got a sticker in the coach's office or the athletic director's office that has the name of your school or your team, let's go. I've had unofficial ceremonies. I'll have an entire team come out. Okay, guys, pick where you want the sticker to go, and I'll shoot video and photos and take a team photo with the car. It's really fun. Friday night is so special. Right. Just the whole scene and the little kids throwing footballs back here, not paying attention, and the bands and the cheerleaders, the whole thing is it's magic. Any Friday night football game, and it's got to be Friday night to be really special, when there's a band, whether it's a 200-member marching band or it's 10 kids blowing horns in the bleachers, or not bleachers if there aren't enough bleachers. Coaches are working hard, kids are working hard, officials doing their jobs, just the whole scene. You got all the little boys and girls over here throwing footballs around, ignoring the actual game because they want to be out there someday. Right. There's on a beautiful Friday night. There's just nothing like it. And if you take me to if when I die I go to a small town and I'm at a football game and there's cornfields around it, it's kind of the Field of Dreams thing. That's the best place to be.
Such a great time to talk to John, because he has such a great perspective, not only when he covered preps for the Star Trib, but in the last 14 years to have this job to represent the high school league and to go across the state and write these stories and take these pictures and put it out on social. It's just a great thing, yeah.
But now it all makes sense. I can see why your efficiency range is generally about 58 to 59%, because according to Malaya, just showing up is half the battle. So when you just show up to this set, you're at 50%. So now I can see how you get to 58 to 59%. It all makes sense now. It all comes together.
I'm glad it's making sense for you, because you make no sense to me. Let's check out Hot Highlights.
Hot Highlights is sponsored by TrueStone Financial.
Hot highlights this week, and here's number one. It's that touchdown run we showed you by Calvin Isle against Irondale last 30, one of 5 touchdown runs for him. That's hot highlight number one.
Hot highlight number two is a guy whose nickname is Butter Pecan, because he's smooth as butter. And a big-time run after the catch for a touchdown by Coon Rapids receiver Kyjon Cummings-Coleman. The senior turns it on for the 55-yard touchdown.
That's hot highlight number two. And here's number three. Savion Hart of St. Thomas Academy at TCO Stadium last Friday night. 65-yard touchdown run. The rest is up to you. Go to KARE11.com. Vote for your favorite. Voting will last through Friday at 3 o'clock. The winning school receives $2,500 from TrueStone Financial. We'll announce the winner on the Prep Sports Extra on Friday night.
Things definitely have been juicified with that $2,500 going to the schools.
Juicified,
yeah.
Exactly. Kennedy plays at Two Rivers on Friday night. It's a rematch of a 2022 barn burner in Section 3-5A semifinals, when 6 touchdowns were scored in the fourth quarter, 3 by each team, in a 32-28 Two Rivers win at Bloomington Stadium. Back this fall for Two Rivers is their D1 prospect, Max Mogelson. Take a look.
Yeah, I've put on, I think, about 15 pounds of muscle mass since the last year. I took basketball off this year, and I focused on getting my body healthy, strengthening the small things, being more explosive. So I'm excited to see how that helps me this year in the football season. I think just speed and footwork is, on the D-line, really important for anybody. No matter how good you are, you can always be better at it. So I did a lot of speed training. I did a lot of footwork and mobility and agility. I'm moving just as good as I was last year, if not better, and another 15, 20 pounds heavier. I think I have a really good motor. I kind of keep going. Good stamina, because I played basketball all my life. I think I'm super explosive off the ball, and I think that's really my biggest thing. I can knock back O-linemen and cause disruption in the backfield. The recruiting process was definitely a lot on a 17-year-old kid. I'll never complain about it, because it's really a blessing to be in that position. But I thank all the coaches that gave me a lot of time and effort into it. But I went out to UNLV on a visit, and it just felt like home with all the coaches and the facilities and accessibility to Minnesota, and being as far away, it's as close to home as you can really be. They sold me on the weather. I told them I didn't like the snow, and they use that to their advantage probably every time I talk to them on the phone. So yeah, they got me there.
Do you think he sold them on the weather, but do you think it could also have anything to do with the fact that Nevada's State Fair is only 4 days and not 12?
I don't know, but good luck to him going out to play at UNLV. Thursday night games around the metro and around the state. Eagan, Lakeville South, that'll be a great matchup on Thursday night. Mayo is at Rosemount on Thursday, St. Louis Park at Cooper. Some Saturday matchups to show you real quick. South St. Paul and North St. Paul. Big matchup. North St. Paul coming off a win against De La Salle on Saturday last week. So there are some football games on Saturday this week as well. All right, now it's time for our Weeble Winner of the Week.
Oh, the Weeble, that small, lovable plastic children's toy that absolutely rejects all thoughts of going down. It absolutely denies, destroys, declines, disallows, and disapproves of the very concept of going to the ground.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
Yes, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. So get your goo-goo eyes on this prize. It's the best in town.
Hey, hey, look at me and Weeble.
And this week, SMB has the glee of the winner. This week's Weeble of the Week is going to be tank-like. His name is Landon Dillon. And he's a running back, a senior at SMB, 6 foot, 215 pounds. Let's get a look. He's to the left there, number 0. You got to love 0. He is just going to straight out move a mountain of men.
But oh my gosh. How many?
Well, we're going to get to that. Okay. First, I want to look. He's going to say to his own guy, get out of my way. Little bump, boop.
Yep.
Get out of my way. I'm going to be a Weeble. Now, he goes into this pile.
I'm going to be a Weeble.
He goes into this pile, and I thought, could this be the entire team? So I went back and counted.
You counted, didn't you?
I first counted 9 helmets that are all going to converge and envelop our Weeble.
Okay.
And then as this plays out,
2 more come
There's going to be the 10th. Can we get the whole team? Can we?
No.
And yes, there's number 11. And he is going to get put right there, get a little push. You can't get the Weeble down, number 18.
Does he get an assist for that tackle?
Yeah, he got an assist as being the 11th player in on the pile.
Way to go, Landon Dillon.
Way to go, Landon Dillon for Weeble of the Week.
Fantastic. All right, that's it for our show. Reminder, Prep Sports Extra, 10:15 on CARE Friday night, 11 o'clock on cable, YouTube, Facebook, care11.com and care11 Plus. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday. Enjoy the football this week.
As in Romper Room, the magic mirror in the ending says, Romper, bumper, stomper, boo, tell me, tell me, tell me, do. What color is a mirror? Think about it.
Time to go.
When there's no reflection, what color is the mirror? What color is a mirror?